Hello, Train Guy here, and today I'm going to be looking at the Long Island Railroad expansion, which just came out for Train Sim World on the PS4. It's a 100% passenger service route. It's on the surface of it doesn't look like you get very much. You get one train to drive with it, but there are actually, for the first time in Train Sim World, there are variations of the route. So, let's just get this set up. I'll show you what we mean. Let's make it a cloudy autumn day to start with. So let's make it spring. So we'll just do the first one there. So the three variations you've got, there are services run between New York and Hicksville. It says Ronkonkoma, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's actually Hicksville, which is the point marked in blue at the right there. There are services from, so you go between Hicksville and New York, you can go between Hempstead and New York, and Hempstead and Atlantic Terminal. So there's a few different things to do there. The first one we'll do will be eastbound out of New York towards Hicksville. So we'll just get this fired up. So quite a lot to do in quite a short space of time when the game loads in. And you can do everything you need with the pad. Let's just get the doors unlocked. So we turn the master key on. We set the reverser to forward and put the controller at max brake. You then have to charge the brakes up. Like so. And we're going to turn on the alerter, and we're going to turn on ATC. And we're going to turn the headlights on. So, still got about 30 seconds to wait around, so we'll have a quick look. That's the M7 that we'll be driving. They go on forever. The improved New York pen looks a bit different to the one in NEC. Let's just get back in the train here because we're going to be getting moving very, very shortly. Okay, so we'll just get the doors locked. And off we go. So, line speed limit 15 miles per hour, and that agrees with the ATC speed limit's also 15 miles per hour. So let's just get underway, and then let's just hold the speed off here. Oops, I want to turn the instrument gauge on. So I do use a USB keyboard as well. You'll sometimes see me operating controls without touching anything. So there, the signal, the ATC speed limit has gone up to 60, but we're still having to do 15. That's still the line speed. The line speed has gone up to 60, but you can't accelerate until the back of the train is completely inside the new speed zone. It's a very long train, this. It is, these M7s are 2-car units. This is 5 of them bolted together to make a 10-car train. So they're the longest passenger trains, certainly so far in Train Sim World. Well, there we go. We can now accelerate up to 60 miles an hour. So you do have to watch the heads-up display for the line speed, because access doesn't work on this line. And you've got ATC as well. It's whichever is the lowest of the two speeds is the one you drive to, and if they're both the same, then, well, that should be fairly obvious, really. There is a bit of as the alerter just kicks in from time to time. If you've not touched the controls for a few seconds, the alerter will always kick in. So we're going downhill. I'm just going to apply a bit of brake, make sure we don't go over the 60. If you break the ATC speed limit, because that safety system is on, you will hear an alarm, and it does give you a bit of time to react and slow down. If it's the line speed limit you're breaking, all that will happen is the numbers in the huddle turn red, and you should slow down as quickly as possible. I don't know if access is going to be implemented later on, or whether they could never get the problem in the tunnels fixed. You may or may not know that while access was included in the Northeast Corridor, it didn't work very well in these tunnels. You basically had to turn it off. Outside the tunnels, it more or less worked okay. Now, we are about to come up to a graphical glitch on this tunnel. Unfortunately, it has a habit of not drawing a section of it in, so you're sort of flying through this open void for a little while. It's kind of trippy. Sometimes there's trees over your head and stuff. It only lasts for a few seconds, and it's not game breaking, but it is annoying as hell. So, as I was saying before, the speed limits and what have you changed. Very, very long trains in this game. 8 to 12 cars, as far as I can tell. The problem with that is that I think they're hitting the limit of how many units they can have running in the game at once on the console. They are still learning how to do this on the console, and they're not great at managing the memory sometimes, I think. So there are only ever 3 or 4 trains on this line at any one time, and it can feel a little bit empty. That said, if you're driving it with the driving aids turned on and you're driving to the speed limits and stuff, it's a very active line. There is a lot to do. It's constant elevation changes, there's speed limit changes, there's all sorts of stuff going on that you have to be aware of. The signalling is also cab signalling, so there is not always like a mast at the side of the track with lights on it. There is in this instance, but quite often it's just a signal being sent to the train to tell it what the new speed limit's going to be. So we've got a 30 mile an hour speed limit coming up ahead of us. I'm just going to start braking. Not quite yet. We'll start braking at about half a mile. Now, unlike on a British railway as well, there's not a lot of speed limit, like there's not a lot of trackside signage. There's nothing to tell you that speed limits are changing, other than having, that's the ATC speed limit also changing. So the ATC speed's 40, but we've got a line speed of 30 coming up. The signal speed, ATC knows nothing of the line speed. It's just telling you what the signal was in the form of a speed limit. If access was on, then that number would actually drop to 30, because the two systems are interlinked. But as I said, unfortunately, it's not turned on. It's no biggie though. I mean, 1 or 2 runs and you're used to using the heads-up display as a surrogate for access. So ATC speed is now 60, but the line speed's 45, so we'll just pick it up a little bit just now. And as we do, just have a quick look outside. I don't spend a huge amount of time outside, I'm afraid, when I'm doing this, just simply because you do kind of have to concentrate on what's coming up. And we've got the little accelerometer here as well, which is really useful for controlling your throttle with. And different scheduled services that you pick at different times of the day, you do stop at different stations. So I've not done an all stopper yet. It seems to just mix them up for different runs. It's a nice length. It's not too long and it's not over too quickly. As I said, there's always something to do with speed limit changes and things coming up. So yes, it feels like a bit of a ghost town sometimes, but I'll be honest, you have to really sort of be watching for traffic to notice it. I generally find I'm too busy just driving the trains. Let's just put it into coast. Oh, I forgot to close the door. So, bearing in mind my entire knowledge of New York is based on what I've seen on television and in films. I mean, it looks like what I would expect it to. I can't speak for the authenticity of it. The speed limit's going up again with a nice fast section of line. A lot of nice high speed running as well on this route. I have to say, to drive, it's almost the most console-friendly one so far. Other than switching on the ATC and the alerter, where you have to get up and flick those two switches, nothing needs to be operated by the keyboard. And what I mean by that is, for example, the rear Signard, I find that if I'm using PZB, their train safety system in Germany, well, yes, you can do the click and drag the control thing with the mouse, with the pad. It's really clunky, and that system needs an instant reaction, so doing it without a keyboard I think would have been impossible. Whereas Long Island Railroad, I mean, I've got everything turned on, and it's the circle button on the pad. When you hear an alarm go off, do what the system wants you to do and press the circle button. So if you're watching the signal distance thing there in the heads up display, you will notice that quite often there's nothing actually there when it hits 0. It's just to warn me that there's a cab signalling point coming up. So the speed limit could theoretically change at any one of those. So that's just the alerter, which if you haven't touched the controls for a few seconds, just make sure that you're still there. Also known as a dead man switch. So be very careful not to go over the speed limit so that I don't trigger ATC's warnings. speed limit change coming up in a mile. The brakes on these trains are actually really, really good. The challenge in this this railway on the Long Island Railroad is to be really good at your braking. Whereas with the other American route, the NEC, the challenge there I think is really to be able to manage your top speed effectively, because it's a lot more juggling about on the brakes and the throttle and stuff, whereas this one's when you're at speed you're really just balancing it, which is great. It's easy to do with the accelerometer. All your time is made or lost in the approaches to the stations, the stops. Just jump on those a little bit harder because I think we're actually going across the points. In fact, it's dropped to 30 now. So ATC says 40, but the speed limit across points is actually 30. Again, if access was enabled in this, that would have counted us down and it would have been a little smoother, but not to worry. Another train just heading the other way. Yeah, it's the thing as well is it's just because of the layout of the route, but the odd occasion where there is another train nearby is very often, unfortunately, obscured from your view. And when it is, it's usually at a point where you don't have the time to jump to an outside camera and line it up. I'm hoping that the Dovetail do get better at working with the memory available on the consoles. Especially if you're coming to this from Rursig Nord, it feels really empty, because that was really good for the amount of traffic it had in it. But I mean, it's a minor criticism. If you like driving trains, you're going to like this. £25, it is a little steep, but there's more there than it first appears on the surface, and it's I've said this on forums and things, on Facebook pages and stuff. This is how simulators have always worked. It's not a big enough market to be cheap, unfortunately. So just pull it up here. We're a few minutes early, so it'll be we can get up and go for a little walk around. The train's nicely modelled. It's a very good looking machine. I haven't actually explored this very much at all yet. This is Jamaica Station. That was a start for a scenario over there. Then we can go upstairs. Oh, we can go upstairs. So again, no idea how authentic this is. I imagine it's at least reasonably accurate. Probably a bit busier in real life as well, I would suspect. We'll see if there's anything we can play with on the trains. Maybe, maybe not. I've never actually done the ride as a passenger thing in this game. I'll have to do that one day. Right, so you can go between the coaches. And you can also see that's the cab where the two units are joined together. Now, I think that in real life you're not actually supposed to go between the units like that. Well, we better get back up to the end. Run, run! Okay. So yeah, it's a fairly Spartan but functional cab. Not a lot of that stuff's just for decoration. Line's kind of cool. You can pull the blind down as well as tilt it. Let's just get that back up out there just now. Don't need that. Okay, so let's get closed up and underway. So it's an ATC and the track limit of 15. There's a slow twisty bit coming up and then we're back to high speed running. So it's a straight run, yeah, this is a single stop service, it's a straight run out to Hicksville now, so we'll cover that fairly quickly once we're off this slow section. Oh, there's another train there in the distance. That's just the alerter checking I'm still with it, because I haven't touched a control for a few seconds. It doesn't actually give you that long between between reminders if you're not doing anything. Oh, that's me just triggered the ATC overspeed warning. Such a long train, see that, because even though I'm on the flat bit now, the bulk of the train is still coming down that hill behind me, so it's still trying to accelerate. Okay, so ATC speed's now 60, but the line speed's 35. I would love it if they managed to get access working and introduce that at some point. So we're on an 80 stretch track now, but of course we just have to wait for the back end of the train. There we go. Oh, I've ignored something because I've triggered a penalty. Right, no biggie. So if that happens, you just put the brakes to max, L1 on the pad to charge the brakes back up again, and as soon as they're charged, we can get moving. I'm not sure what I missed in the cab there. That is why I don't use the external cameras a huge amount with the driving aids on. Too easy to miss something important. So most of what I've seen on this route so far is what you can see from the cab window, really. That's probably what I didn't hear. I don't know if you can hear it outside or not. Some trains, the alerter is really difficult to hear on the outside. Let's risk it, let's risk it. Hey. Yet to drive an American train that didn't have a cool horn. So fairly eating up the distance. So if you get a high-speed direct run, it doesn't take that long to do. That's going to be what, half hour in total or something that we were at that. Stopping services 45 minutes. So they're a nice length. They're a decent length. What I should have done was Hicksville to New York, and then New York to Hempstead. I keep wanting to call it Hemel. Keep getting confused with Hemel Hempstead. I should have done Hicksville to New York, Hemel, and then Hemel to Atlantic Port. That might have been a better way to do it. Okay, so that's the ATC kicking into a new speed limit of 40 miles an hour. So you saw it all light up and start flashing. Basically that's telling you brake now, and the alarm will keep going off, but as long as I'm braking hard enough, it'll not take over. There we go, it's already gone back up to 40. So that's how the signalling system works. It's not like you have to be at the speed limit for the signal. It tells you the speed limit is now changing, and sometimes it will change again before you're all the way stopped. We might be following another train, I'm not sure. So I'm basically just dividing my attention between the speedometer and the track. You always want to give yourself a mile or two an hour just to react with. Okay, so that's ATC kicking in, wants me to slow down to 40. So again, I'll just get an alarm every few seconds to tell me that it's still checking, and again, there we go. Clears me back up to 80 again. It could be there's another train down the line somewhere, we're just catching up to it a little. We've got 10 minutes to do, what, 7 miles, and this train accelerates stupidly fast. Brakes stupidly fast as well. It's all electric though, so you would expect that. Try and find one with a bit more stopping for the next service, I think. So I mean, the scenery is passable from the track. It's fair to say if you sitting at a station and decide to go looking a bit closer at some of the stuff, it looks a bit crap, but that was a bit crap. Camera got wedged between them. Yeah, scenery, I mean, it's passable enough from the cab, which if you're using all the driving monitors and things like that, that's where you're going to spend most of your time anyway. It's certainly where I spend most of mine. Too many accidental emergency brake applications for mucking about with external cameras. He says, mucking about with the external cameras. Okay, so just the last few miles to run. Speed limit change a couple of miles ahead. May or may not get slowed down by ATC in the meantime. Okay, so we're not gonna be late at this rate, so we can just do a nice gradual slow down here. Look, actual traffic on the road. That's new. None of it moves, but it's there occasionally. Which is a step up. And I do believe as Dovetail do more of these for the console, they will get better at it. You know, the definitely issues that existed with the very first routes on the console don't exist as much now. Graphical things and there's less issues with stutter and slowdown on Ruirsig and West Somerset and this one than there were on the first two or three. Basically what we get on the console is the PC version running on fairly low settings, but I think they are gradually getting better at optimising stuff. No point going to we're not going to be doing the full line speed of 80 with the station just ahead, so might as well just slow down now, we're pretty early. I think the entrance to the station is like the one speed limit signpost that you see trackside the whole time. So that's ATC just telling me to slam the brakes on to get down to 15. And then we just coast on in. I can never remember what doors I'm supposed to open here. I think it's the right hand doors. Maintenance run. I've not actually done any of the scenarios yet, man. I've just done the scheduled services so far. I've not found any of the previous releases so far. They've all had bugs in in the scenarios when they launched, so I've kind of left this one until there was a patch for it. That's really cynical of me. I know I probably should play them because they're probably really good, because they usually are. And then lock them to finish the scenario. There we go. So that was a fast run, just a two-stopper along the Long Island Railroad. So I'll do another one of these soon, very shortly, in fact, with maybe a run along the southern part of the line between Atlantic Port and Hemel and back to me, possibly. Um, so yeah, it's a decent little package. There's plenty to do. There's actually quite a bit of variety. It looks like. I'm definitely pleased with it. And yeah, I mean, if you're liking Train Sim, you're enjoying the different routes so far. This one's definitely as good as any of the others. Okay, so that's where I'm just going to quit back to the main menu. And I think that's where I'm just going to leave this one here. So I will put another one up very shortly, though, where we'll do some more of the route. But thanks very much for watching.